Jeremy here from the Weekly Narrative. We're in downtown Sacramento at the Women's March protest. As you can see behind me, there's a cascade of Trump-supporting cars going by here, American flags, Blue Lives Matter. Some of the protesters aren't too happy about it, but...
Army veteran, baby, 20 years.
Veteran?
20
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
What do you have to say to all the Trump supporters?
Oh, man. They need to find some peace in their heart. Like, look, liberty and justice for all.
There's more coming.
Liberty and justice for all is not really their thing. It's liberty and justice for some who agree with us. So,
Oh, okay. So who?
I am not.
Oh, they would like you.
Yeah, but not. I believe in true liberty and justice for all. In fact, the right to kneel.
Okay, yeah.
Peacefully kneel.
Are they against that though? I think they just don't like it.
They don't like it during the anthem.
They don't like it, but they'll allow it.
Well, they're not going to kill them. They might. Some might kill for it. They don't like it. They think it's disrespectful to kneel.
Well, it's fine to think it's disrespectful, all right? It's fine to think it's disrespectful. They're still allowing them to do it.
But what happens is conscious evolution of thought allows people to think about the value of that humble act. If you can't even see that as a humble act,
I think that's
really low.
a core American value is protest, though, isn't it?
Exactly.
So I think they would agree with it on principle.
Yes,
They just don't like the message that he's trying to portray.
Not there, and what happens is they don't research the fact that an Army Ranger advised him to take a knee. So the thing is,
Talking about Kaepernick?
yeah. So I mean, if you're gonna use your platform for conscious, nonviolent evolution, be about that for everybody. And
Thought evolution.
They're using their platform as they're able with their skill set. So like, why not be proud of them for that? But to call them, get those sons of bitches off the field, and then the Trumpers, they're enabled by that rage. It's rage.
They're emboldened.
Emboldened by the rage.
So what has been the consequence of that?
Oh, continued separation of logical, common sense thinking. We're building walls between us.
I agree. Yeah, how do you think we can take the wall down?
I really think we have to have dialogue, and what they're doing right now is joy. They're not being nasty. They got their thumbs up. It's joy. But I'm like, but get out of your truck and talk to me. I'm a 20
That's what we're doing.
veteran.
That's what we're doing. We're out here just trying to have discussions with people. So there's probably 50 cars with Trump flags, and they're basically looping around the whole block.
I'm out here as a supporter of my wife, the students I teach, the kids of color. I think all of those things are important to push policy change. If you honestly believe Black Lives Matter, or if you honestly believe that all lives matter, then you understand that the policies in this country are anti-both. They're meant to serve one group of people and one group of people only.
Just curious, what do you teach?
I teach science.
Interesting. So what are the inequalities that you see right now that we could be fixed with policy changes?
I think housing, for one. I think equity, economic equality. I think the idea that somehow women are less human by virtue of the fact that they're 50% of the U.S. or the world, and yet they don't affect 50% of policy decisions. Those are still being made by, again, a certain, what
do you mean by that? Like we don't have enough women in office, or
in positions of power.
I see. Okay. So what would you say to the people who say that women aren't really in politics as much because they just don't want to go into politics that much? There's just biological differences between men and women that, maybe they're not inclined to go into politics as much.
I've heard all that before, and I think it's...
What do you think?
I think it's pap. I think it's ridiculous.
You think it's crap?
I do.
Okay, sorry. I couldn't hear through the mask.
That's pap.
Pap?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's pap?
Stronger. It's just...
Stalker?
Yeah. It's
Oh, interesting. I've never heard that before. Okay.
PAP. Look it up when you get a chance.
PAP?
PAP.
You look a little more serious than the average protester.
Well, yeah, it's just I want to support my friends who are usually marginalized, and I don't know. So I marched with Stephon Clark, but it feels different now.
Yeah? How so?
I think it just feels like there's more attention on it for some reason.
Like media-wise,
Yeah.
you mean? Like on the protests themselves?
Yeah, and maybe it's because we're all stuck at home all the time because of coronavirus.
That's probably a big part of it too, yeah.
But
Your flag's on the ground, motherfucker!
it's like a perfect storm. So when I
Election season too.
Right. When I saw the stuff with George Floyd happening, I kind of got in. What's the word? Like energized.
Energize you?
Yeah.
Were you out here for the George Floyd protest too?
Yeah,
Because that
so-
was that
Oh,
was.
you're good. You're good. I just came out since then. I've been kind of just sort of slowly just meeting like connections and whatnot.
Yeah.
So just trying to
Right
help where I can.
Have you seen a lot of this type of stuff, like agitators and stuff like that,
This
or
is the biggest one I've seen so far.
really?
Yeah.
It seems like, I don't know, this is the most I've seen too, and it seems like they're getting a little more bold about, just kind of making a presence known
I
and
think
stuff
so.
like that.
It seems like it. I mean, this is the biggest Trump rally I guess it's a parade, but it's the biggest one I've seen.
Can you explain what the sign is and what you got going on?
Well, I'm out here on behalf of several of my friends who couldn't be out here today. I feel very strongly I'm willing to come out here in the middle of a pandemic to do this because I don't want my rights going backward. I'm here for my daughter. I'm here for my son. I'm here for women's rights to move forward. I don't want to go back to this.
And what does the other side of your sign say?
I'm ruthless and I'm acting accordingly.
So, okay, how, in what ways do you see women's rights being eroded in America, or what might coming in future administrations, for example?
I'm here because, our current person that's being pushed through the Senate, or the process, is not someone that represents me. I feel like I need a choice, I need a voice, and I don't think that she's there to do that for me. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was here for me.
I just got the sign, ruthless, because RBG passed away. So your commentary is on the Supreme Court Justice nominee.
Yes.
And what is it? What are her views that maybe you don't agree with, or what do you see her doing that you wouldn't like?
Amy Coney Barrett?
Yeah.
Well, I think that women should have the rights over their own bodies, and I don't think she's going to stand up for me there. I don't think she promotes men having control of women, and I don't agree with that. My husband doesn't agree with
I haven't heard about that. What's with the men controlling the women?
the statements that she's made earlier about women should be asking men for permission to control their own finances, etc.
Kind of like an old school kind of mentality. Interesting. Well, can you give Trump any credit for at least putting a woman in?
No,
No credit at all.
no.
What if he just put a man in who had the same kind of views, and you can tell he's kind to try to give at least a little something as putting a woman in, replacing RBG with a woman. That doesn't do anything for you?
No, and thank you for this interview, but I think we're done.
All right, thank you. So you have a Biden-Harris sign. What do you think they're going to do? What specific policies is he going to implement and the administration going to implement to kind of fix what you're trying to do?
I think, number one, I believe his economic policies are more sound and will do more for more people than anything the current occupant has done.
Do you have any specific policies or things that maybe we could...
I don't know that there's any, because we're not out there yet, but I think the economic policies include equal pay, increasing the minimum wage, I think equal pay for equal work. I think there's a lot of that needs to be addressed. I think there's still redlining issues that happen with people of color and in certain cities, in certain areas. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, just...
I thought that was outlawed quite a while back.
Well, wasn't, I mean, the Voting Rights Act was also something that was implemented in 1964 and 1965, and yet, back in 2014, the Supreme Court said, well, there is no problem anymore, so let's back that off. So all of the policies that were hard fought in the 1960s and 70s are being rolled back by this Trump administration under the auspices of more freedom and less impact on big business, corporations, people with wealth.
Do you think there is any argument there at all about you seeing corporations leave America and then, kind of the middle class gets hurt by that because obviously the job opportunities are a lot less? Trump's message of bring the business back into America, do you think that really is a bad thing?
I don't think it's a bad thing, but I don't think it worked. And here's the deal. If you go back in history, if you do your history, and you'll recognize that a lot of the major corporations that went to other countries did so because of wages, because of less restriction. So
Less regulation, stuff like that.
Explain to me how protecting Americans who were dying in, OSHA-related stuff, right? They were being maimed, they were losing their jobs, there was no, concern for the worker in factories, etc. So what do they do in manufacturing? They send it off where there aren't those restrictions. So because what? We don't give a crap about people in poorer countries.
Exactly.
We don't care. And so, you want to blame anybody for leaving the U.S., blame the companies who put profits over people.
Well, the argument on that side is that basically they're going to go wherever the environment for them to do business suits them the best, right? If they stayed here, maybe they wouldn't even be in business. Maybe we wouldn't have the iPhones that are made by the Chinese kids, and stuff like that. So,
conditions that we don't allow in our country, but we're okay because we want the iPhone, we want the iPad, we want the next best thing. The trade deficit between U.S. and China is because of America's insatiable appetite for things that
stuff.
are less expensive. Stuff.
For cheap stuff.
That's right.
We got to get the new iPhone every year.
Or we're not willing to pay for a more expensive towel, so we're going to go to Walmart and buy the cheaper towels, even though they're not going to last as long. We're going to do all these things, corporate.
Well, it sounds like you're kind of making an argument for business to come back to America.
I absolutely believe it. My wife's a small business owner.
So you agree with Trump on the business and economic side of things?
I believe that making America first, putting America first, means taking care of American people and making their life such that they have protections, equal protections, that we can continue to live a life that is representative of what the U.S. ideals have always been.
I agree.
I don't think he's done that.
Okay.
I think Trump has definitely fallen flat on his face, and he's made it more drain the swamp. Oh, no. He enlarged it in a big way.
Fill the swamp in?
People who have, they're either on the business side of things or they have no knowledge whatsoever.
Well, if you can, I think his overall message is basically that of more freedom and more of the principle of freedom to let you do what you want, right? Especially when you look at reopening America in the light of the coronavirus, right? He wants to open up again, let the people get back to work, because a lot of people are out of work right now. They're hurting. The businesses are hurting. The businesses are closing. And the businesses are really what allow the lifeblood to flow of Americans, because we all need to have jobs. That's how we generate income. So wouldn't that kind of go in the direction that you're trying to go with, letting the people do what they want to do?
No, I don't believe that. I believe when we're in a society, it's more than me. It's more than me.
Looking at it from a collective perspective?
I'm not just going to do things that benefit me. I'm going to look at how my actions affect you, and you, and you. And if my actions are such that they have a negative impact on other people, shouldn't I stop and go, wow, maybe there's something I can do differently.
4 more years?
Yeah, 4 more.
That was pretty mean. She said, that's how much you have left to live. If you're lucky. It's getting heated out here.
There's only 2 sides to a bad situation, so find out what side, is causing the problems.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I'm out here doing. I'm not out here on any side, or I'm not.
Well, these guys hate you apparently, because you're not white.
Maybe.
Do you think they hate you?
I'd have to talk with them.
Oh, see, now you're definitely one of the more reasonable people that we've talked to, because a lot of people just come in with the assumption that, like, I mean, they're yelling white supremacists at these cars and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, has anybody yelled anything similar? Or?
No.
See, yeah, I wouldn't mind talking to somebody.
I heard somebody yell, "Biden sniffs kids."
Oh well, that's some.
Watch out, you're the ones that's tearing up our city right here. They're called
Down with white supremacy! Down with white supremacy!
Back to blue, black for Trump, Trump 2020.
Love it.
See, they're trying to like have a good time and have fun. You know, it seems like they're just out here to agitate a little bit, have a laugh, show support for Trump, and
I just know I can't support anybody out here.
no,
I can't.
nothing.
Well,
You gonna vote like Green Party or what?
no, I just can't. Well,
voting at all?
I'm basing it on the environment. So if I go for snails, I like fucking snails, right? Snails are cool. No, they might go against me and say, hey, you can't do that shit, dude.
That's true. Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, I thought. So I don't know. You can't pick anything here.
Yeah, you're right, man. It's a hostile environment.
I could bet you cash money if you pick Biden around here, somebody might even attack you for that.
Probably. I mean, there's a lot of Biden signs. Someone's gonna find something about him that they can use to attack you or him.
It goes back and forth, but
Yeah.
Hey, you don't know me?
You just came out here to watch.
Well, I came out here to actually help the homeless,
Oh.
pray with the homeless.
Did anybody from the protest help with the homeless? There's a
No,
lot of them out here.
We were helping, and then they all stormed out of nowhere, and they're saying peaceful protests, yet we're the ones actually helping the homeless, and they came in and just destroyed our whole operation, and we had to leave.
They destroyed it?
Not like destroyed,
They
but
interrupted everything, kind of.
came in, screaming, you know,
So you were actually taking action to help, and
Yeah.
then they're out here just yelling about it, being emotional.
over sides.
That's wild.
Intimidated. Biden people was out here walking around. Then somebody called them. Then they decided to ride
I'm
around.
not talking about Biden and Trump. I'm talking about I was here helping homeless.
That's
That's what I'm trying to say.
Did you?
People-
Yeah. See, he's
people are so.
he's under the mind control.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like I'm not trying to get spiritual on you guys, but I'm a man of God.
No, you can go there.
I'm a man of God. So like I don't play by man's rules. I don't bow to no man. I don't listen to no man. Yes, it's good to have respect for people. I'm not saying just like don't have any respect for anyone. But I'm saying
Like golden rule type stuff.
yeah, but I'm saying like really dig deep in yourself and find out who you're actually doing it for. I do everything for God because at the end of the day, it's kingdom over culture. Culture is a whole brainwashing technique that I can go into. It's like everything's just trickery, just to distract us.
That's interesting to hear that, because, you know, especially with black culture these days, a lot of people will say that the culture is what's driving a lot of the disparities that you see. Do you have any agreement with that?
Yeah, I could definitely, you know, it could go back to like what Kanye and Nick Cannon and a lot of people be talking about, where it's like black people rep these like, you know, high fashion brands, yet they do nothing for us. That's just like
true.
It's a prime example of like.
They have a lot of money and power. They could use it.
But you could like relate that to just everything. Same with us putting faith in politicians, they're doing nothing for us. You know, at the end of the day, man is gonna do. I love Grocery Outlet,
He's a casino owner, apparently.
but.
So do you think to fix everything, we need to stop worrying about these petty squabbles between each other and the ideas that we might have and the opinions, and look towards something a little bit higher than ourselves?
We need to put our faith in something higher than ourselves. And something higher than ourselves. I'm Jesus 2020.
So these people, the protesters would not like that opinion.
Oh yeah.
Because you're religious.
And I know, but you know, in the Bible it talks about it's gonna come where it's gonna get to a point where they're gonna start attacking all the believers, because we know we are not of this world. That's the thing. Like people who put their faith in God and put their faith in Jesus, we know that we're in the world, but we're not of it. People that don't have that, they just think the world is.
This is everything for them.
Yeah, this is
Their
not.
whole-
This
their
is,
whole existence.
this is literally nothing. This is a video game.
I like that. I think it's a simulation. Video games the same thing, pretty much.
Let's use COVID. You brought it up, so let's use COVID. I'm a science teacher. I understand and have studied all that kind of stuff, you know? So I understand that the way that we're going to get people back out there is to drop the curve. But you look at America, what has happened? We spiked, we went down, everybody went and did what they wanted to do, went up again, came down again because, you know, people started buying into it. Now what happened again? We're up into our third.
So you're saying we need to have like a super strict lockdown?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think there are, if we follow science, if we say science understands what's going on, then by allowing the scientists input and saying we're going to make our policies based on what's real, not just what I want to do. My wife is a small businessman, I told you. This COVID hurt her too. But she was willing to back off in order to make sure that the numbers didn't increase in the area in which she has her business. I mean, yes, we're all making sacrifices, but didn't they do that in World War II? Did Americans make sacrifices in World War II?
Yeah, it's kind of our deal. When something happens, we're willing to make the sacrifice. But it seems like the principle by which we make that sacrifice is in the interest of more freedom, personal freedom, because that's kind of the principles that the country was founded on, right?
Well, it isn't. It wasn't personal freedom. It's not about personal freedom. It's about collective freedoms. So should one group of people have more freedoms than other people? And I say no, not at all. If we're going to talk about freedoms in the United States of America, then we need to talk about freedoms for all people. And that means that we understand that my freedoms come at a cost. And I'm willing to sometimes make those sacrifices on behalf of other people because that's part of the sacrifice. It's not just wearing a mask and teaching from my home office. It's about doing things that collectively are going to be best for. Why do I wear a mask? It's not to protect me, it's to protect you and protect you. Because if I'm positive, all I have to do is be talking to you in close proximity because we are close. Now I've passed it on to you, so should I say, okay, I'll wear a mask?
Here's the thing with that though is, when we come out here in public, we both individually accept that risk. Like think about, if we had a real pandemic, let's use that word real, like if it was Ebola, if it was something that didn't have a 99.9% survival rate, for example, do you think people would take the risk to go out to the grocery store even if they wear a mask? That wouldn't be enough to protect them in the end. But now we're in this case where the virus has a very high survival rate, so a lot of people are led to believe that it's not as bad as it may look or as sold as. And you also have to acknowledge that we're in an election season, so it got politicized, whether that's good or bad. And now we've got the mask as kind of like a sign of compliance with one side or the other, right? Like
it's a side of choice.
I agree.
Choice. It's not a.
That's what it should be. That's what it should be.
And I just had this conversation with my students all the time, and I just had it with a friend of mine. Compliance is done out of fear of something.
I would argue that in this case, the masks are done out of fear of ostracism, criticism, stuff like that.
For me, it's not. I think for some people, they're worried about that. Maybe they don't look good in it. But I think we make a choice to do something, and that is free choice.
But here's the thing. So Biden hinted at mandating masks. Are you for mandating, or are you for the personal choice? Like if I want to come out here and not wear one.
Again, let's play science. If there are areas that are on a huge uptick like there are right now in North Dakota and other places, why not? Why not do it for the good of all? Again, that's one of those sacrifices that in a country like ours, we have to say, okay, well, they want to make it a mandate, and instead of making a mandate, I'm going to choose to do this on my own.
That's the approach I think we should take. Make it a choice. If you don't want to go out, if you don't want to take the risk to get infected or infect other people, just don't go out. That's a sacrifice, is to just not participate at the same level as you normally would. But going out with the masks, and there's statistics now that say that 85% of the cases that had COVID were wearing masks.
That's bullshit. That's flat out bullshit.
What?
I've looked.
Isn't that from the CDC?
I've looked at the websites that say that.
I think that's from the CDC
No, it's not. It's,
or the WHO.
no, it's not. It's,
Okay, we'll have to look it up
I
afterward.
need you to look that up because that's flat out bullshit. Okay? If you look at, people who've gotten COVID, it's not people who wear masks. I'm not even gonna.
Well, here's where people use that statistic wrong. They say that 85% of the people who wear masks get COVID. That's how people interpret it. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that of the people that got COVID, 85% of them wore masks all the time.
I would say that's, again, I would argue that fact is not correct. A fact at all, I think. Go back and look at the numbers of it, and you'll find out that most people who attracted COVID were family situations, and they were exposed to others.
What do you think about that situation, George Floyd?
It was a triggering. It was like a trigger in the agenda to just technology, put like basically you could say a spell. Put a spell on people, have them react to a certain emotion, and then look everything that's kickstarting. All that is now being fueled for the Democratic.
It's been politicized.
Yeah. So it makes you think like they're doing everything for their gain. Like the main investor of Black Lives Matter Foundation is George Soros.
Whoa.
A rich billionaire Jew. Does that make any sense? No. It doesn't make sense. It just makes you think like who is really in control here.
Yeah, they're all using us as, like you said, we're in a game. They're playing us.
Yeah, man.
Basically.
And the cheat code is God. In Jesus' name.
There you go.
Yeah, I make music. You can hit me up at Psychology, SICOLOGY.
A lot of yelling, a lot of cars running around out here today. A lot of shouting back and forth, horns honking, stuff like that. But it was peaceful, and it was actually fun. Okay, see, if all protests were like this, where there was no violence, nobody's fighting each other, it's just a lot of yelling back and forth, that's totally fine. I would love to keep going to protests like that, ideally, but yeah, overall, I think we had a good time out here. We met some interesting people, had some good conversations on both sides of the aisle, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the discussions we had. See you next time on The Weekly Narrative.